Hey everyone, we are going to talk about another French chocolate maker today, Francois Pralus. These are bars I had in my stash. We'll talk a little bit more about them later. But he, French chocolate maker, and we'll go back a generation and talk about his dad first. So his dad, Auguste Pralus, first opened a pastry shop in Rouen, France in 1948. And he invented something called the praluline, which is a brioche bun with these beautiful pink caramelized praline mixed in. It's famous, and that's one of the things that he's known for, and celebrates 65 years this year, so it's been around for a while. So he received the Milieu Ouvrier de France, which is the best craftsman in France. And after that, he became the chairman of the Pastry Cooks Union. He became a member of the Culinary Academy of France. He received the French Order of National Merit, which is awesome that you can get that for being a pastry chef. I love France. I love that about France. And so really, Francois, who is son, he's coming from pastry royalty here. So Francois started apprenticing with him in 1975, and then he went to work in other patisseries and restaurants. He worked at Bernachon for a little while. In 1986, he returned to Rouen, which is where his dad's shop was. And in 1988, he took over his dad's shop. And in 1991, he became interested in making his own chocolate, being a bean-to-bar chocolate maker, and began experimenting with chocolate. And now he's a master chocolatier, and he's famous for his single origin dark chocolates. They've got at least 15 origins, a few blends and milks thrown in there. It's one of the most diverse lines of dark chocolate out there. They source beans from all over the world. He is known for his deep, deep dark roasts. Probably one of the darkest roasts out there. It's kind of like an equalizer of beans when you roast something that heavy. Some people say he's the espresso of cacao. So he roasts his beans for a long time and slowly. And he also, I believe, has a long conch. So he really got into this bean to bar thing, and so much so that he decided to buy his own plantation. In 2003, he bought a plantation in Madagascar on an island called Nosy Be. I'm not sure about the pronunciation, but this island had a nickname of Perfume Island because of the other things they grow there. They grow vanilla, peppercorn, ylang ylang, which is a flowering perfume tree that people get an essential oil from. His plantation has about 25,000 criollo trees on it, 17 hectares. In the mid-2007, they committed to sustainable development. They were biocertified. So I am actually not sure if they're using beans from their plantation yet. That's something that I should have researched. But he does have this plantation in Madagascar. He has a secret method of tasting beans to tell if they'll have good chocolate. I just want to read this to you. This is a quote from him, so I'll make sure that I get it right. So he says, on discovering and developing flavor, quote, I brew the cocoa in a little water, rather like making a herbal tea, and sweeten it slightly with sugar. Then I leave it to settle. This gives me a precise idea of what the flavor will be like before I launch the manufacturing process. So if you've ever sampled raw cocoa beans, you know it can sometimes be hard to tell what the end flavor is going to be. So that is the way that he chooses his source beans from all over the world. What else is he famous for? Origins from all over the world. Dark roast. He's got what he calls a pyramid de Tropiques. Am I saying that wrong? Probably. It's a stack of bars from 10 single origins, supposedly his favorite origins. He also has written a book called Vanilla Cocoa, the Black Gold of Madagascar. I haven't read it. It's, as far as I know, only in French. When I Googled it, Amazon came up and it was like $90. I don't think it's in print anymore. It was printed in 2008. So the 2 bars that I had in my stash today, I know why I have them in my stash. I have them because I use them in tasting, and I use them for a particular reason. So I have this one, which is Papouasie, which is made with beans from Papua New Guinea. And I have this one, Djakarta, which is made with beans from Indonesia. And I have these in my stash for one reason, basically, because they have, this one in particular has a very strong smoky aroma and taste. And when I use that in tastings, it gives me a chance to talk about processing beans and how how different steps in the process can determine a final flavor in a cacao. So I use this one because in Papua New Guinea in particular, because it's a rainforest and it's always humid, and often you don't get days at a time to dry the beans, they cold smoke the beans. And this imparts a smokiness to the beans that you can taste in the final product. So that's, even though, you know, I am not a fan of smoky chocolate, I have this in my stash because that is what I use it for. So I think today I'm going to open the Djakarta because I already know what I'm down with this one. I'm going to open the Djakarta and we'll taste this one together and we'll talk a little about it and the tasting notes and the flavor of the bar itself. So let's get to that. All right, so let's talk about this bar from Francois Pralus. So what do we see? We see that it's chocolate from the tropics, Djakarta. He's got a nice little map here so that you can see he's got coordinates for where it's from. This is an Indonesian, made with Indonesian cacao. It's a blend of Criollo and Trinitario. I don't know what the percentage is of each, but there you have it. It's a blend. It's a 75% bar. Francois Pralus, he's a master chocolatier. Let's see what we've got on the back here. So we've got nutrition information, and then it says our master chocolatier selects finest cocoa. Beans are roasted. Yeah, they are. In his Rouen facility. It says he owns his own cocoa plantation, but it doesn't say if those Criollo beans are used in this one. Let's see. Okay, so here's an interesting note. For this chocolate, Francois Pralus decided to add some Ghana to the Indonesian beans. The properties of the African beans balance the acidity of the Javanese cocoa beans. The result is a round chocolate with beautiful flavors and a long finish. Okay, so it really is a blend. So we've got 75% cacao. We don't know what that blend is. We have sugar. We have added cocoa butter. Common to see in European bars. GMO-free soy lecithin. So it does have an emulsifier. That's okay. That really shouldn't affect. Most people can't really taste that. We've got some tasting notes down here. Still made in Rouen. An expiration date, which is good for craft chocolate. Then you know that it doesn't have preservatives in it. All right, let's open it up and take a look. Okay, let's take it out of there. Okay, so here's our Pralus bar. It's a good looking bar. Just a few bumps and scuffs from travel. None of that is bloom. It's got a nice shine, so that means it's got a really good temper. It's not quite as dark as some other Pralus bars that I've seen, considering how hard he roasts the beans. Let's break it off. See if we can hear a snap. It's not bad. Medium snap. It does have added cocoa butter, so it's going to have a lesser snap than bars that do not. It's got a really nice shine. I mean, look, it's reflecting the light. Good shine, good tempering. Okay, let's smell and see what we can get out of the aroma. So in order to smell it, I just hold it in my hands, warm the cocoa butter up a little bit with my thumb, and then I create a cup and put it next to my nose. All right, so when I taste this bar, I get a roasted, dark roasted, nutty, roasted nuts flavor. And as you're just getting used to that, then whammo, all of a sudden there's raisins and grapes. And that slowly devolves back into the nuttiness. And then to finish, you end up with a mild roasted, not mild roasted, more like a mild nuttiness, but you still have the roasted chocolate flavor. And it's a little bit bitter in the finish in the back of your throat. So it's not, whenever you see an Indonesian bar or a Papua New Guinea bar from Pralus, you gotta be a little bit afraid about the smokiness. But this one, this is not the smoke on smoke blowout of the Papua New Guinea. This is actually a nice bar where if you like the dark roast, which is something that the French favor, this is going to be a bar that you should be willing to try. There might even be a little bit of coconut in there, which makes me think that's coming from the Ghana beans. That's kind of a flavor that I always taste in the Ghana beans. Anyway, so that's the Pralus Djakarta 75% dark chocolate bar. So that was the Djakarta bar. I don't have much else to say about Pralus. They have a lot of people like his dark milk, the Melissa bar. So if you're interested in trying a dark milk, that would be one that you could start off with. Next time we're going to do, I think I'm going to do an Italian chocolate maker. I love that all these early chocolate makers came from France and Italy. I love how much those countries embrace the taste of good food, and that they're aware and that they lead in this area in the world. So next time, an Italian maker, an early entrant into the revival of the bean to bar chocolate movement. And if you like getting chocolate reviews in your inbox every Thursday, don't forget to subscribe so that you won't miss out. Hope to see you then.